Welcome to Accelerating Success. I'm your host, Penny Zenker. I'm so excited to have you here. We host great authors, leaders, and entrepreneurs to get to topics that are important to you and your business and your success. Today we're going to talk about a really important one, and that's social media, especially for your business. And today we have Lana McAra with us, and she is going to share with us, she's a specialist in LinkedIn and social media, and so we're really going to talk about how to optimize the use of LinkedIn for your business. So welcome.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you.
So tell us, how did you get involved in social media and LinkedIn in the first place?
Well, it was a long road. I started in 2005, which is when Facebook was a hangout for college students. So that was way
So you were
back.
hanging out on Facebook with the college students?
No.
Oh.
I was like, no, I'm not getting over there because it's a waste of time.
Right.
It's only college students, you know. But as time went by, everything started to morph, and then Facebook became a big place for business eventually.
Yeah.
And now the top number one is LinkedIn.
Is LinkedIn. And so that's why you're there, right?
Yes.
And that's why everybody needs to be there. And
Right.
they need to know how to use it, right? Because there are a lot of people like, oh, you know, there's this platform and there's that. But really, I mean, I think if you don't have a LinkedIn profile and you're not connected there, then it's almost like not having a website anymore, right? You don't exist.
It's actually worse.
It's worse.
Yeah.
So tell me.
There, in the last 12 months, 150 million people have joined LinkedIn.
Wow.
And that brings us up to 414 million people on LinkedIn. That's double the United States population.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people there, and 97% of the recruiters go to LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get your resume, they're going to look at that, but then they're going to go to LinkedIn. So if you have like 10 people competing for the same job, the people who are good on LinkedIn, they're going to have an edge.
Yeah. Well, that's important. So,
Yeah.
you know, what are some ways that you can stand out in LinkedIn?
Oh, there's a lot of little tricks.
Well, tell us. We
Yeah.
like tricks.
One of them is, you know, that you have the bold headline, that's your title, and then underneath you have a little description and like smaller letters.
Uh-huh.
Those two lines show up on every post that you make. So your picture shows up in those two lines. So a little
We should really
trick,
talk about that.
a little trick is change it out every 2 months.
So it's fresh.
It's fresh, and when you do that, all your connections get a little notification that you've changed, and so then they'll look at it again. So you just reword
interesting.
it, and there are some tricks about rewording too, to make it more catchy. And a lot of people make the mistake of saying their title, like CEO or director, but that's not what you put there.
So it's something more descriptive? Is
Yes.
that what it is? So that tells my title, but it doesn't say what I do. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. So you want keywords about what you do. So if you are a marketing consultant, there's the two keywords.
Right.
Or, you know, whatever your subject matter is and what you bring to the table.
Right.
And I think I've got a list of like 5 different ways to spin it.
So you can
So
kind
you
of
can-
rotate. So if you create
Yes.
5, then every 2 months you can kind of rotate them? Is that what that
Right,
is?
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So
Okay, I haven't changed
Yeah.
mine in like forever. Okay, I'm going to do that.
that's a big deal right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just one thing. There's a lot of
All right, well, so give us another tip. We want to give a couple tips, and then we'll talk about a couple different things.
Okay.
What's another tip to optimize your profile?
Your experiences. Those are the descriptions of your jobs. Like in a resume, it would be, I worked for this company for this number of years, and this is my job description. But you want to do that in a different way. Like if there is a role that you played in your various jobs, say you had one line that followed through some various jobs and you want to really focus on that. Like for me, it's project management. So I would create an experience that is just project management and put your beginning of when you started doing project management and until the present. So then underneath you can talk about the types of projects that you do or your focus.
Ah.
And so then
So not the company,
right.
but the type of work that you're doing that you want to highlight.
Exactly.
Ah,
And so
okay.
if you do it to the present, that shows up at the top of your profile, and the search engines love that. And by the way, LinkedIn profiles are Google search friendly. So they show up in Google too, not just LinkedIn.
Great. Okay, so you want to be very conscious of the keywords that you're using and
Yes.
also how many times you're using them,
Yeah.
right, in your profiles. So why is it important to have a good profile on LinkedIn? I mean, you said that for recruiters, but let's say I'm not looking for a job. Why else is it important that I have a good profile?
Oh, wow. People looking for your service or your product, they'll also be searching on LinkedIn. I've gotten 6 phone calls in just the last 2 weeks from people that I never heard of, and this is phone calls, not emails.
Right.
So yes, they're looking for you, and then they look at your qualifications and also endorsements and recommendations. So there's your social proof, and if they like what you see, what they see there, then you'll get requests for bids on. I had a person call me up and ask me for a bid on a $65,000 project management job. Never saw them, heard of them before. And the next thing I knew, I was in there doing a PowerPoint presentation to the board.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's powerful. So
yeah,
it's important for people to understand that your profile means money then.
It
is what
is
you're saying.
totally.
Especially, you know, a lot of the people listening to the show are business people, whether they're business leaders, business owners, right? Whether it's their own company or not, it's really the way to get yourself out there. And what I love about it is the social proof aspect.
Yes.
Because if people aren't utilizing that to get, you know, referrals or what do you call them? Recommendations from people, then they're really missing out, because that's what people are making decisions based on. I mean, all the studies and statistics show that social proof is absolutely key for people today in making their decisions. It's so readily available that you have to play in that space too.
Absolutely, and there's 2 ways to get social proof on LinkedIn. One is recommendations, which somebody writes a text, you know, the actual text for you.
Right.
The other one is endorsements. So people will, if endorsements come up and they say, does so-and-so know about social media? Click yes or no.
Oh, right.
So if you rack those up, you get more than 99, and it says 99 plus endorsements. So between the two, there's a lot of opportunity there for people to say, wow, this person really does know what they're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you. We're going to go to break. So that was great talking about the personal profile. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about how to utilize LinkedIn so that you can accelerate your success. We'll see you after the break.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Where bankers have lost all interest. Where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes. One woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union. Already in a neighborhood.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Welcome back to Accelerating Success. So we're talking with Lana McAra, LinkedIn business specialist, and we're really talking about, we just in the first segment talked about your personal profile and a couple little tips on how to enhance that. And, you know, on this segment, what I'd like to talk about is, you know, there's so many things that are bombarding people, Lana, that is, you know, there's a lot of extra pressure, right? I gotta have my let's say I'm a small business owner, I've got to have my website up, I got to be on Facebook, I got to be on LinkedIn. I've got a lot of pressures and areas around me, and it's kind of overwhelming. So what would you say, you know, are some tips to somebody who feels a little bit overwhelmed by the whole online space?
Well, everybody feels overwhelmed. So don't feel bad if you feel overwhelmed.
Right.
I felt overwhelmed
Right.
when I first got there, and I think my LinkedIn profile sat there for 2 years, just like half-baked.
Right.
So the thing is, with that, because there are so many parts to it and so many focuses, you can add media, examples of your work. I mean, there's just so much that you can do there. The best way to do it is to get a plan and work at it a little at a time.
Can I stop you right there for a minute, because that is so key? Because we're not just talking about LinkedIn here when we talk about overwhelm. We're talking about overwhelm in all different areas, and the key to getting a handle of overwhelm and getting away from overwhelm is a plan. So I just want to kind of tell people that, it's not just this, even though we're talking about this, it's everything, right? Is that whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, a plan is what's going to help you to get out of overwhelm. So carry on. I just wanted to make that sort of grandiose statement there about...
Yeah, that's excellent, because how do you eat an elephant, right?
Right.
One bite at a time.
Or
Yeah.
you don't.
If you want to.
Right.
Yeah. So having a plan and focusing on the various components of LinkedIn, focusing on one at a time, and just kind of chip away at it and keep going, and then eventually you'll have a full-blown profile. And they have a little circle at the top of the profile that's all-star. So you'll see the circle filling up, and when it gets to the top and it's all filled in, then it says you're an all-star.
So it means you're finished completing your
Yes.
profile.
It means you've got a top ranking now, because
Okay.
yours is looking sharp.
I'll have to see where mine is. I didn't know all these things. So if you were going to help me, let's say devise a plan, what would you say? Like you'd say first start with this, right? What should people start with, and what should they work up to?
The very first thing is that bold headline, because that's what's going to be seen by
Okay.
your picture.
Okay.
The second thing is a description under the headline. That's another thing that's going to be seen with your picture. So then, after that, you just keep going down the page, and you next work on your experiences or your jobs, and then the special things that you want to be noted for, as we said before. If you have something special that you do, put those in your experiences and develop those, each one, and make sure that you go to the present, and that keeps them at the top of the list.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do is add media. And so if you have a PowerPoint that you've done that you're proud of, you've written a report, or I have a voiceover segment on mine. So people could just click there and listen to the video and hear my voice. So that is the kind of thing that you can do that adds a like oomph to your profile, because you actually are able to give samples of your
absolutely,
work.
right? Because that's what people want. Is they want to get a feel for you, and they want to connect with you, and that gives them that feeling. And I'm all about creating leverage. So if you create that type of little video, you can use that in so many different places, right? So you use it in LinkedIn, and then it's on YouTube, and then you write a little blog about it, and then, right? I mean, there's so many different uses for that one little video clip. So people, if they're thinking, oh, this seems like a lot of work, they can really use it in a lot of different contexts.
Exactly, exactly. And then you move down to your recommendations and your endorsements. So recommendations are, you actually can send people from LinkedIn a request for a recommendation. So if you have a client or somebody that you just did a good job for, they're excited, you could send them that request. They'll get it by their email. They can shoot off a little 2-3 sentence testimonial, send it back. It goes on your profile. So those are very important to capture, to prompt people to give you those.
Right, and when's the best time to prompt them? You just said it. I just want to highlight to people, because they forget and they wait.
Immediately.
Right away. If you do some great work for people, ask them right away, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when they're feeling great, and they're going to write something great. Not that they wouldn't later, but get them while it's fresh.
Right, they're excited, and it's on top of mind
Absolutely.
for them. Yeah.
Great. We were talking a little bit about, it's all about creating content too, right? So when we come back for the break, let's talk a little bit about creating content on LinkedIn and how to best optimize that. So we're going to pause for a break for a moment. This is Penny Zenker with Accelerating Success. Come back from the break, and we're going to talk about how to add content to LinkedIn when we're back. We'll see you in a minute.
When it comes to injuries,
they're not all created equal.
that's why at Performance Spine and Sports Medicine,
Our team of doctors will coordinate and customize your care
to provide the best treatment options using the area's most advanced medical technology
all with one goal in mind.
to get you back in the game,
We call life
pain-free,
drug-free.
surgery-free. That's what we do here at Performance Spine and Sports Medicine.
Get better faster.
Stay better longer.
Solano Community College transformed my life.
And gave me the opportunities I needed to succeed.
I received the same university caliber education.
Without the pressures of debt holding me back. Affordable and flexible, I fulfilled my undergraduate classes.
Getting to the information I truly have a passion for.
The decision to attend SCC empowered my future.
And made my dream of attending Yale University a reality. Solano Community College, the educated choice.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Welcome back to Accelerating Success. I'm your host, Penny Zanker, and we're here today with Lana McAra, a LinkedIn specialist. And before the break, we let people know that we're going to talk about content and how they can, maximize their presence by creating content. So, how often should I look to create content, and is it enough? Well, maybe I should start with one question at a time. I'm so excited, right? I just want to ask you so many questions. So, how often should I be bringing content into LinkedIn?
There's really no hard answer for that. I mean, it depends on how much engagement you want to do. I think at least every 2 weeks. Every week is really good, but you don't want to do too much. And one thing about social media overall, including LinkedIn, is it's better to spend 5 minutes a day than it is to spend 2 hours once a month.
Okay.
So just a little here, a little there. So if you put up an article or some content, even once a month, twice a month, that's better than putting out 5 in a day and leaving.
Right. So what if somebody says, but Lana, I don't have 5 minutes in the day to go into LinkedIn?
Really?
Right. You don't have 5 minutes for your business, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the point where you talked earlier about eating the elephant. So if you just show up and have some presence and make a few posts, right, then that's going to, generate more and more people getting a chance to look at you. There's the difference between posts and blogs, right?
Yes.
So you can put up these blogs, so do you recommend that people do that?
Oh, yeah. There are several ways to do engagement on LinkedIn. And first of all, I'd like to mention, you don't have to always put up your own stuff. If you read an article that's really good, that's in your field,
right,
there's usually a little box up there with the IN that you can click and just, share it on LinkedIn. Absolutely. And that way you become seen as somebody that's engaging. So first of all, share other people's stuff and maybe make a little comment on it.
Right, because if it's in your topic, you're still seen as the authority. You can write on it, and then you can also distribute other great articles, right? Why not?
Exactly. Right. And then what happens is the people who wrote those articles are going to see you as somebody that's in the mix, and then you get a lot more connection that way. So it's all good. The web is called a web for a reason, because we just connect and connect and connect.
That's right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because then they're going to possibly then share something of yours and be in the lookout of what you're doing, and that's what it's all about. The more people get to engage and share, the better.
Exactly. So better to do 5 minutes a day than 2 hours once a month.
Okay, good tip.
Right.
Good tip. So what about, there's other kinds of content, right? There's content in terms of connecting with people and sending them content, connecting through groups, right, and sharing through groups. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Groups? Groups are a good place to connect with your peers. So if let's say you're a coach, there are tons of coaches groups out there. And to go into the coaches groups and post articles, share things, stuff like that, you will be seen as a leader and, get engaged in more, connected with more people in your field. It's always important to notice this way with the other people in your field, because you want to rise as someone in the know, as someone who is going the extra mile. So don't forget that part of it, as well as going out to get customers and clients and selling product or services, or maybe get a better job.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ways to do it, vertically, horizontally, etc. And then also to put up some posts, write some articles to go up there. That's your own work, and those go on your profile page as well as they go into the feed. So there's another way of engagement.
So that helps to show your value, right? I mean, it's my understanding that what you're really looking to do there, as you said, is, or we talked a little bit in the previous section about creating that connection. If you put a video up of something that you've done, you're showing the value that you're bringing, right? You want to give them little tips and tricks so that their business can improve, or whatever it is that you're delivering. And through that, then they're going to say, oh, I want to hear more about this person. And I'm highlighting that value aspect because I'm sure you've seen this too when we were just talking with the producer of the show here about, there's a lot of selling going on too that turns people off. So maybe you could make mention to, what is appropriate on LinkedIn and what do you think is not appropriate on LinkedIn?
That is such a good question. I get that question in my workshops all the time. What about selling? Well, the way I approach it, because everybody has their opinion, but the way I approach it is I'll friend anybody, but as long as they treat me with respect and they play nice, then I'm okay with them. If they don't play nice, then I can always take them off. So I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But there's something that LinkedIn is not for. It is not for direct selling, because when you go into the LinkedIn environment, just think about it as if you were walking into a room full of networking people where everybody is schmoozing and talking.
Right.
You don't walk up to the first person, start selling them, go to the next person, start selling them. This is a connection that you're going to develop and grow over time, just like you would in the real world.
Right.
So you want to engage with them, then you can make that, once you see that they're interested, not just hit everybody with the sales pitch. So that is a big tip for actually for being polite in the social media environment. We definitely want to come across in a positive way.
Yes, for some reason we lose our mind sometimes when we're doing things online versus face-to-face. We don't do the same behavior, and we really should be respectful of that. So we've had a lot of great tips on the show today. Unfortunately, we're out of time, right? But I know that people are like, oh, I want to hear more about what Lana has to say, and so tell us where people can reach you and what kind of products and services that you have that might be beneficial to them.
Thank you, Penny. I have developed a micro workshop series called LinkedIn at Lunch, and you can see it at linkedinatLunch.com. And it is a 15-minute, once a week micro workshop where you get a little tip like we talked about today, one little thing to do that will take you through the week, 5 minutes a day through the week, and then the next week you'll get another tip. And doing this over time, you're going to bring your profile up to the all-stars. So just go to linkedinatLunch.com and take a look. There's a free sample there that you could just try it out.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here. There's a couple tips I'm going to take away. I should have brought in my profile that you could analyze me, but we'll do that another time. Thanks for being here, Lana.
Thank you, Penny.
And thank you all for being here, because you're taking your time over this lunch break so that you can accelerate your success. Get a few little tips that are going to shift the way that you look at things or enable you to take action on them right away. So thank you for being here. Join us next week as we continue to bring you the best authors and business leaders and entrepreneurs to help accelerate your success. This is Penny Zanker. I'll see you next week.